Good afternoon. Today I'm going to speak with you about 5 articles that I felt did a really great job explaining some of the issues in the exceptional child classroom. The first one we're going to talk about is called Social Skills Deficits in Autism, a study among students with autism spectrum disorder in inclusive classrooms. And it's by Qijar Yao and Qinyin Tin. It talks about the social skills teacher rating form, which is basically an in-depth look at autism and some of the difficulties that autistic children face. Now, the biggest difficulty in this article was on social skills. And we all know that social skills are crucial in adulthood. Whether it's in a relationship or in the workplace, you're going to have to be able to effectively communicate. And so the authors of this article really wanted to stress the importance and ways to fix it. And the big issue kind of comes along because autistic children, they have some characteristics such as poor eye contact, not very good body language, an odd speech pattern, and all of these things that makes it hard for them to talk and connect with their peers. And so teachers really can try to involve the students as much as possible, and that's going to be required that the child, if their IEP allows, be included in a regular classroom as much as possible. And this is because it's there that the teachers are going to be able to involve them in class activities and promote social interaction. They can talk with their peers and work on group activities and build up that confidence and form relationships, and that is how they're going to be able to build up their social skills. And we kind of talk about communication in the next article as well. It is titled Classroom Challenges, Working with Pupils with Communication Disorder, and it's by Shupake Zebran. So we get an in-depth look at what communication disorders are and how they affect the lives of those who have them. The author gave a list of different signs that you can look out for and when trying to see if a child possibly does have a communication disorder. So that's really good. Teachers can kind of keep that list handy and refer back to it. But I really liked that this article included a perspective from the teacher. So we as a reader are able to see how the teacher struggles alongside the student with the communication disorder. It affects both parties. And a way that teachers can try to promote more communication is by taking the role of a facilitator versus a lecturer. And this is going to allow the student to self-learn. If the student's self-learning, they're gaining that confidence and they're gaining that charisma in order to work on their communication skills. So basically, this is just a guide that's going to ensure that these children are learning what they need to. We are going to also talk about gifted children. They sometimes have trouble with their peers as well. So this article is called Tendencies of Gifted Pupils Towards Selected Aspects of Conformist Behavior in the Context of Their Relationships with Classmates. And it's by Eva Machu. And this article gives us an in-depth look at gifted children and how they can suffer in their relationships and communication with their peers. A lot of times the problem comes from the fact that gifted children tend to have a higher IQ, and their peers will be on a totally different level, and so it'll be hard for them to find some kind of common ground to connect. And this can cause gifted children to form negative relationships with their peers. And in a study that was actually included in the article, they explain how 4 out of 5 students, gifted students, actually do not have conformist behavior. And that is because of these relationships. If the student is forming negative relationships, they don't really want to fit in. They don't feel like they can. But there is still that 1 out of 5 students who does have some tendencies to conform, and that is because they're the opposite. They have had an easier time meeting their classmates and forming positive relationships, and so they feel more comfortable trying to fit in. But we're going to kind of change gears here and take a look at an article entitled "Students with Special Healthcare Needs in K through 12 Virtual Schools" by Heidi Fernandez and Richard Fertig. This article is focused on online schools, and primarily the students who are not able to attend schools, they have special needs. They can now, because of technology, they can now attend school via a virtual classroom. And because of all the information in the article, this really seems promising. The students were tested in a study, 2 studies. Now, the first one they tested, and their scores were spot on with their scores in the public school. And so that tells us, hey, they're learning the same amount of information. Okay, so they can go to the virtual school, cool, and learn just as much as they would in a regular classroom. And through time, technology has advanced and things have changed. And this is where we actually look at a second study that was done. And in this study, it found that the students with special needs who were on the virtual classroom actually scored above their scores in the regular classroom. And that is because, these children, they may be getting their needs met better at home, or whatever the case may be. They're actually able, they've got their parents there, they've got a totally different environment, maybe they're more comfortable, but they're scoring better. And so this seems like it may be an option in the future for students with special needs, that they may be able to use technology more effectively than in the regular classroom. And in this article, application of inquiry-based learning when developing the thinking of pupils with mild intellectual disabilities, behavior disorders, comparative research by Jerry Dostale. And this one's about ADHD. So we get to look at some of the difficulties that these children with this disability have. We see different methods and approaches that teachers can take in order to ensure that these students are learning and getting the information that they need. With a lot of the difficulties that we face comes from the fact that most of these children, they exhibit a slowness of perception, attention and memory disorders, problems with acquisition of terms, and the list just goes on and on. There's a lot of things teachers have to consider when trying to teach these students. And the article included a study, but it was very unreliable. The study was done on children who they had ADHD, but they were above average, and so their scores kind of don't mean as much, because a regular child is not going to be able to benefit from the results of the study. if it doesn't even study someone in their same level in range. And so the article kind of failed on that part. I wish they would have included a different study. But overall, I mean, it brings to light a serious disability that's widespread and something that we need to take care of. It offers a lot of tips and a lot of strategies that teachers can take in order to help these children out.